guys, Chris here again for Busted Knuckle DIY, and today we've got a left-handed guitar that we're going to convert to right-handed. Anyway, let's get wrenching. Oh hell, I can fix that. Honey, can you bring me a Band-Aid, please? Alright guys, let's take a look at this thing. Now this is definitely got the kind of reverse John Lennon syndrome. This is actually a left-handed model. The more astute of you may be able to see that has been strung up right-handed. As I am a right-handed player, I just acquired this guitar pretty recently in a trade deal, so obviously we're going to convert it to right-handed. So there's some things going on here, but first we're going to take a look at it and just try to get some base numbers. So as you can see, it's in very, very pretty condition. It has absolutely lovely cocoa bolo, rosewood back and sides, which is an interesting choice. Cocoa bolo is generally a pretty oily wood, and a lot of luthiers shy from it. It requires extra drying and things like that for it to be able to glue up well. It tends to let go. But all in all, the condition's fantastic. There's one little ding right down here where my finger's at. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not on camera. Let me see if I can get the guitar. There you go. So we'll touch that up. All in all, other than that, everything is in really, really good shape on it. So our process here during the video is going to be, obviously we're going to get the strings off of it. We're going to plug the saddle slot and recut it because it's compensated, but it is compensated for this end, right, as a left-handed instrument, to be the bass side and this side to be the treble. So the bridge is, or the saddle rather, is setting the wrong way if we're going to play in a right-handed orientation, so the intonation is out on it. So we'll do that. We're also going to do a little nut work on the nut up top, as on nylons, it's not too big a deal. Let me shift you guys down here. As the gauge of the strings is pretty similar between the nylon ones and the wound strings on these. You don't have generally an issue with slot width. However, again, this being the bass side of the instrument originally, and this being the treble, depth is a thing, because normally your treble strings are cut just a little bit lower. And in this thing's case, the A string is actually buzzing a bit. Hear it? Where are we? We don't have it there. And the E string has got a little buzz on it too, so we're probably going to have to remove the nut and put a little shim under that. Let's take a look at just a couple of things as it is. So I've got my nifty gauge here, and we're going to go to 64ths of an inch. Set the guitar in playing position, and at the body joint, in this case the 12th fret, we're just going to check the action on it. And that is way, way low for a classical. That's about 5/64ths. And about the same on the treble side. So the saddle is very, very shallow. It's very short, so we're either going to have to put a shim in that, or when we recut the slot, cut it slightly shallower to help compensate for that height that we need to gain back. Everything looks in really, really good order. We're going to check the neck relief on it very quickly, and then we'll get the strings off of it and start working. Alright, so to check our neck relief, we're going to use a capo, and we're going to put that on at the 1st fret. And nylons have a big wide neck, so you gotta... That's all right. And then with the guitar in playing position, we're going to use a set of feeler gauges and measure the height of the string above the fret wire at the 6th or 7th fret. And so we're going to start in here somewhere, I guess. Let's start with a 10th thou. So we're going to pick the guitar up. We're going to pin the string again at the body joint. And there is very, very little relief in this neck. Yeah, that's 10 thou. And that's not even close. That's way too high, so let's drop that back. I don't know, let's go to like a 6 and see. Okay, so we're actually at about 6,000. That's pretty good, and that will come up a bit when we raise the action. So the neck is in good condition, so now we're ready to go ahead and get these strings off of it, start taking some measurements on our saddle here so that we can get it plugged and recut. Okay, so I spared you guys the agony of me taking the strings off of this thing. We're going to try to get that saddle out of there. Hopefully they didn't do something foolish like glue it in. There it goes. Just a little stuck. Okay, so now that we've removed the saddle, we're going to take some measurements on the saddle slot. And I'm going to take it that the good folks at Cremona measured it properly for its compensation to begin with. The Solia is one of their higher-end models. It's a pretty expensive guitar, actually, as far as production model classicals go. It's the better part of $2,000 new, so it's not an inexpensive instrument. So I'm going to take it that they had it compensated properly for its left-handed orientation. So all we want to do is take those measurements and reverse them. So I've got my trusty dial caliper here. Okay, so we were 235 thousandths here on what was the bass side. Obviously, the bass side of the saddle needs to be farther back because the strings tend to bend more and pull sharper as you fret it against the fretboard. So the bass side of the saddle slot starts at 235. The treble side of it is going to be 154. The saddle itself is it's pretty consistent too, so about 96. We're going to call it 100. And then the length. Which this is probably the easiest measurement. So that's 3 inches and 200, I'm sorry, 290 thousandths. So yeah, so 3 inches, 290K. We don't have to be that exacting because this measurement is not going to change. Okay, so now that we've got our measurements roughed in for this thing and how we're going to reset everything and recompensate it, we need to go ahead and create a piece to shim this saddle slot to fill that up. So this bridge is made of ebony. Now it looks to me to be, and forgive if I pronounce it wrong, but Macassar ebony. As you can see, it's got some of this nice chocolatey figure in it. I don't have any Macassar, but I do have some very, very nice Gaboon ebony that was purchased for me by my brother as a gift years ago when I started working on violins. And I've cut myself a blank. Yes, it's ridiculously oversized at the moment, and that's perfectly fine. And even then, you can see that we're not that far, just eye-shotting it from that thing slotting in there. So we'll thin it down a little bit, and then we'll cut it to length. Once we've glued it in, we'll take the surface of it down flat at the top. And then we'll recut this saddle slot. So anyway, I'm going to get to working on this blank until it fits properly, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, so what I did here is I took this long piece of ebony that I made as our splint, and I taped it down to a nice flat board and used a single edge razor blade and just scraped nice and flat on both sides a little bit and came back in and double checked it. And it took about 4 or 5 passes, but I'm very happy with the fit. It's nice and snug. We're going to go ahead and get that trimmed down a little bit so we don't have to remove quite so much material after the fact, and then get it glued in. So yeah, we're coming along great, and like I said, it should match really good, guys. I mean, from the side here, you can't even see it, despite the fact it being ridiculously oversized. So, okay, sorry for the hand filming here, but I wanted to get you guys in. As you can see, we've got that cut just right for the width now. I scored it with an X-Acto and chose to sand up. We're still quite tall. But we'll take that down after we glue it in, which the glue is warming up here. It should be ready in a minute. We're going to use a super fine little paint brush, paint it up in there, drop this bad boy in, press it down, and let it dry, and then we'll take that material off the top and take a look at recutting that saddle slot. So, anyway, I'm going to run and get the glue and get right back to you. Alright guys, we've got the top of the guitar protected. Hopefully we don't get glue all over everything. Again, we've got our really fine little brush. And this is Luthier's hide glue. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to be responsible. And after one, you know, if anybody wanted to ever undo this, they could. Don't worry about it getting places that were not intended it to be. I'm trying to work pretty quick here because this glue begins to gel very, very quickly. Take this moist paper towel. Clean up any squeeze out that we got here. Places that we dripped on the bridge. Again, it's hide glue, so it cleans up really easily with a little warm water. Make sure that is completely in where we want it to be. That looks pretty good to me. Alright, so we're going to let that dry in, and then we'll take that down flat and recut our saddle slot. Alright guys, so the glue dried in, and we took that down. Hopefully you can see that. I realize the light's not real good in here. But yeah, we vanished that incredibly well, and the Gaboon ebony matched up with the Macassar quite nicely. There's even a little of that chocolatey stuff going on in here, but it looks pretty good. So now we have to recut the slot to compensate it for the saddle going this way. So we're going to lay our measurements out, and we'll start doing that. But yeah, very, very pleased with the way that saddle plug came. So on we go. Alright guys, and sorry I didn't bring you with me on the adventure of actually taking our plug down. We were sticking up about 1/8 of an inch or so, so I started with my Ibex finger planes, very tiny plane, and took it down till it was protruding just about 1 millimeter, and then scraped the rest with a razor blade. And I am very, very pleased with it. So now we're going to transfer our measurements. So in this case, we know that the saddle slot, we want the bass side, which is now this side of the guitar, righty. We want that set to 235 thousandths. So there's 1, 2, 235, and we're going to lock the caliper in position. And I put just the finest scratch mark on there, which is fine. We're going to fill that in with a pencil. And then we need 154, so we'll unlock. There's one. $54, same thing. We're going to go down here to this end. Let's see if I can see my little scratch marks there. Can't see it. So we're going to do it again. There we go. Okay, now we're going to take, this is a very, very precise machinist ruler, and connect those pencil lines. There we go. So there's that one. We know we want the saddle slot approximately 100K. So we'll wind that in. All the way back around to 0 is 100. Let me lock it. Okay, and we're going to just double check the width of the saddle again to make sure that it does fit. Yes, it does, and that's good. So 100,000 is going to work here. So we're going to transfer that measurement. And it's all right if we actually miss and go a little skinny, because we can always sneak up on the width later. See, it moved on me there. Cool. Stay still, pencil. There we go. I doubt you guys will be able to see it, but I'll try to get you an angle. Yeah, there we go. You can see the pencil mark that we made to cut our new saddle slot. So what we're going to do is put our machine ruler on here. I'm going to score those edges with a razor, with an X-Acto knife. Because those reference lines will be much easier to see. And then I'm going to remove this material by hand with a very, very, very fine set of micro chisels. Give me just a second, I'll grab one and show you. Alright, so I've scored those lines in so I can see them, and it's going to help us with the possibility of tear out too. I'm going to try to get this to focus. This is the chisel that I'm going to use. Focus. There we go. You can see that thing is absolutely tiny. The bridge is just under 100K, and the chisel is pretty much the identical width there. So, might be a hair narrow, but that's alright. Like I said, we can sand and file up the width. So anyway, very, very slowly and very painstakingly, I'm going to take that material down with my micro chisel here until we have a saddle slot that is where we want it to be. So, I'm going to save you that agony because that's going to take many, 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 many minutes of work, if not hours. You could do this with a router, but I don't have a router that size, nor do I have proper jigs or anything like that. So all of you real guitar guys out there, I apologize for the agonizing way of doing it, but it's the best and safest way I know how. So anyway, I'm going to get to doing that, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so we got the new saddle slot cut. You can see it's now compensated for a right-handed player. So we're going to get the strings back on this bad boy, get it cleaned up a bit. I did put a little shim underneath the nut here. So that should take care of any of our clearance issues. And I'm really excited to string it up and see what it sounds like. Okay, as you can see, we've got it restrung. We put Aquila Nile guts on here, so they'll be stretching out for about 2,000 years, I think. They take forever, but I really like them. I've never tried these light tension ones, but hey, for the sake of this, we're going to give it a go. We did make a little shim for under our nut here. All that looks great, no problems there. We made a little shim for under the bridge. You can't see it, but we got our action up to just about spot on here. So on a classical guitar, typically they should be about 2.5 millimeters on the high E and 3.5-ish on the low E. We're dead on the high E at 2.5 millimeters, and we're about 3.2 on the bass side, which is just fine. I also did what the factory head did on the other side. Sorry, it's probably not going to focus there. There was a single fret marker at the 7th, so I had some 5/32 Pua dots laying around from another project, so I put one of those in it just right here at the 7th fret to have a little reference here. And on the back of the guitar, that one pretty healthy ding. And you can still see a tiny spot right there, but it's much smaller and better than it was. I just actually touched that up with a little bit of clear nail polish, which works really well for this kind of thing. It stays on there well, it protects it well, and it's nice and shiny. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll get this thing tuned up, double check the intonation, and maybe I'll play a little piece for you, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's see if we can beat this thing into tune here. That harmonic, 12th fret, dead on. That's great. Perfect. That's really, really good. So, like I said, compensating that saddle. The tail will be up here on the bass strings. Yeah, good there. Right on the D string. Good. Sharp. My bad. Good. Yep, and those bass strings are playing in tune, so I'm very, very pleased with that. Alright, well, it seems to play in tune now. The intonation seems pretty good. Let's see if we can make a little noise with it. Yeah, guys, all in all, I am very, very happy with that. You can see our bridge work came out very, very good. We're compensated well. We're playing in tune. Our little abalone dot there works out quite nicely. Our little spot that we touched up on the body there, we almost vanished that completely. And I'm very, very pleased with that. And for a guitar that was built in 2015, so it's 9 years old. It's in great shape, and I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing it. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit us up in the comments. Let me know what you think about what we just did here, and you know, I'll thank you not to remind me that it certainly could have been done easier and faster with power tools, but I wanted to illustrate that this can be done as hand work if you just take a little time with it. So, but let me know what you think about that. Guys, in the description box below, I'll put links to our Facebook and our email address if you want to reach out. Until next time, this is Chris for Busted Knuckle DIY saying, keep wrenching.